everybody! Welcome back to the channel. If you're not subscribed, click the button below. Today, this video is unlike any other I have uploaded and really shows, I feel like, our biggest adventure so far living here in Mexico. I have tons of footage. I have some great tips about how to road trip in Mexico, and especially if you're gonna get to do the amazing road trip up the coast of Veracruz. So we have shown you guys several times our trips from Puebla to the port of Veracruz because we have family and loved ones there and we love to visit. And so if you want some tips about that, check out the other videos in Mommy Perms as well as the videos in Los Perms channel. But today I wanted to talk to you guys about the adventure that we have never done before, as well as our travel buddies, the Kinetic Kennons. This was also their first time exploring Veracruz with us. So this video is going to start in the port of Veracruz, and it's our road trip from there on. So we left the port and we made our way up north, up the coast, to a beach called Playa Chachalacas, which is only an hour or so away. It's not a very long drive. And Playa Chachalacas is known for a fun adventure of four-wheeling in the sand dunes. The beach is not, I don't think, the best beach for swimming. When we were there, it had big waves because of the nortes, and there were a few people fishing, but people are not there really to be in the water, but rather for the adventure of four-wheeling. And a tip I have, as you're driving through the little town of Chachalacas, you will see various places where you can rent these four-wheelers and sometimes also tours. And we have never done the tour, and maybe it would be awesome, but the prices were definitely more expensive, what they were offering us for even just renting their four-wheelers, compared to once we made our way all the way to the beach. The rentals on the beach were significantly more economical. So I recommend making your way to the beach. Some people drive right on the sand and park. We parked along one of those kind of little alleyways that lead right to the beach. And then once you walk up to the beach, then you will see rentals of four-wheelers. Most of them are advertising to rent for hours, but we decided that with our time frame and our group, we would prefer to rent 2 four-wheelers for just a half hour each, and that was an option. So make sure to ask and make sure you get it to fit what your group needs. The half hour did go by really fast, and Greg and Justin said they felt like they could have ridden on the four-wheelers for hours, but we were able to rent a smaller four-wheeler. It definitely wasn't small, but a smaller one for 250 pesos for the half hour. And then the bigger one was 300 pesos for the half hour. And the bigger one, our whole family was able to fit on it for just navigating our way to the dunes. So it was a good size four-wheeler to fit 5 people. And then the dunes were magical. The view was beautiful. The kids had a blast. We climbed up the sand dunes. We rode up the sand dunes. It was not a disappointment. I highly recommend Playa Chachalacas. Our next stop up the coast was a little town called Nautla, and I don't think it would have been on our itinerary had it not been for the fact that we have some awesome friends here in Puebla who have a home there that they allowed us to use for the night, for our accommodations for the night. And we loved the little town of Nautla. Justin felt like he was right back in his hometown in Tennessee. The people were super friendly, and it just had that really charming small town feel. The center of the town is really well kept, and they do have a beachfront with a few restaurants, as well as a river where you can take river tours. And we really didn't have much time to enjoy everything that Nautla had, but we were really glad that that was a stop along the way for us. Okay, so before we get to Tajin, I want to take a little sidestep and just say I really, really wish that we had had a few more days for our road trip up the coast, because we had to zip past a few places that I would have loved to visit. One of those being the ruins of Zempoala, which Justin and I did have a chance to visit those back in 2012 when we lived in Veracruz. But it would have been really fun to go back and also to show our kids and the Kenans that site. Another one are ruins that we have never visited called Cuetzalan. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And we've heard that that's beautiful and that it has an inlet of water from the ocean where it's calmer, that the kids could have swam at. And that would have been awesome. And the final location that we were recommended along the route that I wish we had stopped at is a beach town further north called Nautla. And we saw some beautiful resorts there, and it looked like a beautiful beach area. So we wish we had had some time to stop and let the kids enjoy the ocean there. If you have any other places along the coast that you recommend, drop them in the comments below, because I have a feeling that this won't be the last road trip up the coast of Veracruz for our family. Okay, so now we're making our way all the way to Tajin. And one other thing I have to note is the unique landscape that we got to see on this trip. And that was the landscape of orange trees. Orange trees as far as the eyes can see, just orange trees everywhere. And because of that, little stands along the highway that sold fresh oranges, which of course we had to stop at and eat some. And they were not a letdown. They were delicious, and the view was beautiful. And we really, really enjoyed the scenery on our way to Tajin. And when we got to Tajin, it was very simple. The route was very clear. We went during a weekday, which I highly recommend because it was super, super calm. I felt like we had the ruins to ourselves. We were able to park nice and close to the ruins, walk in and eat a really delicious, relaxed meal where we got to taste a special dish that's known for Tajin called bocoles, and they were really, really delicious. And then we were able to go in to the ruins and explore without any kind of stress. It was so relaxing, and they are stunning. So far, out of all the ruins I have seen here in Mexico, they were the most powerful for me to see. There are so many ruins, all within a nice small space. There were areas with shade where we could relax a little with the kids, and awesome areas for some photo shoots time, which was really fun. And then something else that also didn't disappoint was the presentation of the flyers of Papantla. And that was mind-blowing. The kids were just jaws dropped to the floor, watching, super, super amazed and enthralled, and so were we. because we loved the ruins so much and because it was so calm there, we spent quite a few hours at the ruins, and we actually decided to stay there until the park closed at 5 o'clock. And so at 5 o'clock, we hopped back in the car and we were ready to make our way to the next stop for the night, and that was the Pueblo Mágico of Puebla called Cuetzalan. And I had, from my research, I thought it was about an hour and a half away, maybe 2 hours. But when we turned on our GPS, we found out it was going to be a 2.5 hour drive. And the issue with that was that it was going to cause us to break the most important road trip rule for the Permenter family, and that is that we don't road trip after dark. We don't travel in our car after dark unless it's a road we know very, very, very well, and even then we try not to. But this was a trip we had never done, and neither had the Kennons. But when we looked at the time, it was 5 o'clock. We know sun sets around 6:30 right now here, and it gets dark by 7. So we assumed we would be arriving in Cuetzalan just a little after dark. So we decided to just hit the road and not stop and just make our way to Cuetzalan, where we were going to stay the night. Everything was beautiful, smooth driving. Oh man, rolling hills. Oh, there was one area that just, the picture is stuck in my mind of just paradise. And it was just beautiful hills with no fences, and just the hills were spotted with every color cow you can think of grazing in the grass. It was so beautiful, so picturesque. So we're getting view after view after view. Then the sun is beginning to set, but we're feeling like, okay, I gotta just, keep going, keep going. We did have to stop to fill up for some gas. And then we hit the road again, and maybe 15-20 minutes later, it's already dark at this point, we are driving on a dirt road, which isn't very uncommon for road tripping here, and all of a sudden we see a river in front of us, and we're like, what the heck? The GPS is telling us to go through this river, and we do see a road on the other side, but we can't drive through. It's not a huge river, but it's flowing. Water's flowing. So we turn around and we make the trip back again to the gas station because we didn't have any cell phone reception in this little town. And so we just backtracked to the gas station, and there, with the help of some friends and family, we were able to find a great little hotel to spend the night that was minutes from this gas station. And we had a wonderful stay in this small town. But I really want to share with you guys the importance of tracking your time well with road trips so that you don't have this experience, because we know we're very lucky that we didn't have any issue backtracking, and that we were able to have some help there without internet reception to find a good place to stay. But that's biggest tip if you are going to road trip in Mexico is plan your time so that you're not racing against the sun setting. So the next morning, after a great night's sleep in this beautiful hacienda hotel, we were back on the road to Cuetzalan. We also had a little miracle where the place that we stopped to grab some dinner, the owners happened to be from Puebla and regularly do the trip from the northern part of Veracruz across this river to Puebla. And so they were able to tell us that the GPS tracked us on what was the old route to Cuetzalan, and that it was a pretty easy just drive around a little loop, and it takes us back to the road, and that way we could cross the river on a bridge. So we were able to take that little detour and back on the road again to Puebla. And here's gonna come the next tip, and that is the roads when you're road tripping often are not well paved. And we have heavy rains in various parts of Mexico, and it also just depends on how the infrastructure is in that state or in that city. But we have been had many experiences where there are massive crater-sized potholes, as well as always the really really big speed bumps that our little van has a hard time getting over. So if you're going to be road tripping, just make sure that your car is equipped for kind of an all-terrain style trip. But as soon as we crossed from the state of Veracruz to the state of Puebla, getting close to the Pueblo Mágico of Cuetzalan, the roads significantly improved, and there were very few potholes, if any, and not any of those huge speed bumps. So that was very smooth, the drive from once we got into the state of Puebla. It was very windy, up mountains, also again, beautiful terrain. We made our way to Cuetzalan, and unfortunately it was very, very rainy, so we weren't able to explore Cuetzalan as much as we wanted to. So we will be back to explore the grutas of Cuetzalan, as well as just to explore the beautiful town. It has, narrow streets, it's mountainous, had such a historical charm. We had some delicious food there that we are excited to go back and eat more of. From there, we just went directly back to Puebla. We didn't want to risk another late night and possible issue with getting dark. And so we made our way back to Puebla, and that was our road trip from up the coast of Veracruz and looping back around again to Puebla, which is home for us. So that was our adventure in a nutshell. And it really was very, very fun. We saw some beautiful places. We did make a few mistakes that I hope you don't, but we will be going back to many of those spots again. So if you have any places that for sure we need to visit, put them in the comments below. And I sure hope you liked the video. I hope you learned something from it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.